Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master, and thank you for joining us today where we dive deep into the hidden treasures that could be lying right under your nose. Whether you're a long-time collector, a curious beginner, or just someone who stumbled across an old penny in a drawer and wondered if it could be worth more than its face value, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most mysterious and fascinating coins in American numismatic history, the 1964 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that, believe it or not, has the potential to be worth a mind-blowing $530 million due to a combination of incredibly rare errors, historical significance, and unique minting anomalies that continue to baffle experts and collectors alike. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks like every other penny you've ever spent or saved, yet it carries with it a history so rich, a production story so unusual, and a combination of mistakes so rare that it elevates it from mere copper to a national treasure. That's what the 1964 Lincoln penny represents to a growing number of coin experts and high-stakes collectors around the world. This isn't just a coin anymore. It's become a legend, a mysterious artifact that represents a time in history, a place in the evolution of American minting, and a set of circumstances so unique that even a single surviving example with the right features could command hundreds of millions of dollars on the private collector's market. Now, to understand how a single 1964 penny can be worth $530 million, yes. That's $530 million US dollars, we have to go way back. First, let's set the scene. The year is 1964. The country is changing rapidly. The civil rights movement is in full force. The Beatles are taking America by storm. And the US Mint is producing more coins than ever before to keep up with an economy that's booming and expanding faster than anyone had predicted. Inflation was on the rise. Coin shortages were beginning to affect commerce. In response, the US Mint started producing pennies in astonishing numbers. Over 6 billion Lincoln cents were struck in 1964, making it one of the most heavily minted dates in US history. But here's where the story starts to take a turn. Most of the 1964 pennies, especially those minted at the Denver Mint, which is where the D Mint mark comes from, were produced under tremendous pressure. Mint workers were operating around the clock, and quality control was stretched thin. The Mint was in a rush to meet demand, and this is where the door opened for one of the most fascinating error scenarios ever documented in American numismatics. First, there are the known error types that can occur in any coin. These include double dies, repunched mint marks, die clashes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, struck-through errors, and more. But in the case of the 1964 Lincoln cent, all of these have been reported, and in some combinations, multiple errors on the same coin. Imagine a coin that's not only off-center by 20%, but also features a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and even remnants of a struck-through cloth fiber or wire fragment. The odds of these errors happening simultaneously on one coin are astronomically low, yet there are persistent rumors in the coin collecting community that such a coin does exist, and that it may have been sold or traded privately for an amount close to or exceeding $530 million. Now let's break down the types of errors and anomalies that make a coin like this so valuable. Starting with the double die error. This occurs during the die creation process when the working die receives two impressions from the hub that are misaligned. On the 1964 penny, there are known examples where the doubling is incredibly dramatic, especially in the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date itself. In some specimens, the doubling is so strong that you can see clear separation in the letters with the naked eye. Collectors go crazy for these, especially if the coin is in mint state with sharp details and little to no wear. Then we have the repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. Back in 1964, the mint marks were still punched into the dies by hand, meaning there was room for human error. In some coins, the D for Denver was punched twice, sometimes in slightly different angles or positions, resulting in a very noticeable doubling effect on the mint mark. These RPM errors are highly sought after, and when combined with the double die error, the value multiplies dramatically. There are only a handful of known examples of the 1964 penny with both a strong double die obverse and a repunched mint mark, and those that do exist are locked away in private collections, with their values estimated in the tens of millions, if not more. And then there's the mysterious story of transitional errors. You see, in 1964, the Mint was still producing pennies with 95% copper and 5% zinc composition. But by 1965, due to rising metal prices and a national coin shortage, the mint began experimenting with new compositions. Some believe that during this transition period, a few planchets, that's the blank metal discs used to make coins, intended for later years or different denominations, were accidentally used in the 1964 production runs. That means it's possible that a few 1964 D pennies were struck on silver planchets, or even nickel ones. Imagine finding a 1964 D penny that weighs more or less than it should, and instead of the normal copper color, it has a silvery or gray hue. That could be a one-of-a-kind transitional error, and if authenticated, its value could skyrocket into the hundreds of millions due to its unparalleled rarity. But we're not done yet. The lore of the 1964 D penny gets even deeper when we consider strike-through errors. These occur when a foreign object like grease, fabric, wire, or even another coin gets between the die and the planchet during striking. Some of these strike-throughs create wild, unpredictable patterns that make each error coin unique, and collectors are often willing to pay enormous premiums for them. Add a strike-through error to a double die and a repunched mint mark, and you're now talking about a coin that defies logic in terms of how many minting anomalies it displays, and thus, a coin that has no peers in the marketplace. What makes this even more incredible is the sheer number of coins minted that year, over 3.7 billion at the Denver Mint alone. With such massive production, the likelihood of overlooked errors increases dramatically. Many of these coins were distributed into circulation quickly and without thorough inspection, meaning there could be dozens, even hundreds of valuable error coins still hiding in old coffee tins, penny jars, or tucked away in desk drawers across the country, and perhaps one of them, the most extraordinary of them all, could carry the kind of combined errors and conditions that would elevate it to that mythical $530 million mark. Some numismatists believe that one such coin may already exist. There are whispers of a privately held 1964 D penny that displays not only a dramatic double die obverse and a repunched mint mark, but also evidence of being struck on the wrong planchet, an off-center strike, and a severe die clash that caused ghost-like outlines of Lincoln's memorial to appear on both sides of the coin. If such a specimen were to hit the open auction market, the bidding could shatter every previous record in coin history. It would be the Mona Lisa of numismatics, a coin so valuable, so rare, and so historically important that museums and billionaires alike would compete for the privilege of owning it. But how does a coin like this become worth more than $500 million? It all comes down to rarity, demand, and provenance. In the world of high-end collectibles, the value of an item isn't just about what it is, it's about what it represents, how rare it is, how desirable it is, and how well documented its history has been. In recent years, we've seen coins sell for tens of millions of dollars. The 1933 Double Eagle sold for nearly $19 million, and it's technically illegal to own. The 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar fetched over $10 million. Those coins were rare and had historical significance, but neither had the widespread familiarity of the Lincoln penny. Everyone knows what a penny looks like. Everyone has touched one. And that familiarity, combined with the sheer improbability of such a perfect storm of errors, makes the 1964 D penny an object of universal fascination. And then there's condition. Even among rare coins, condition is king. A mint state or proof example of the 1964 D penny with these rare features would be essentially priceless. If it's been preserved without wear, in a high grade like MS-67 or above, with strong strike details and original luster, that's when the value explodes. Add to that certified authentication by PCGS or NGC, and you're looking at a numismatic unicorn, a coin that lives not just in history books but in headlines, documentaries, and auction catalogs for generations. So what should you do if you have a 1964 D penny? First, don't spend it. Take a close look. Use a magnifying glass. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Look for doubling in the letters and numbers. Check the weight. A regular 1964 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it weighs more or less, that could be a sign of a wrong planchet error. And if anything looks off, unusual, or just different from other pennies you have, it's worth getting it checked out by a professional coin grader or dealer. Remember, the most valuable coins often start as humble discoveries. Someone finds an old coin in a change jar or a family heirloom box, and with the right knowledge, that simple discovery turns into a life-changing event. That's the magic of numismatics, the thrill of the hunt, the hiz. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in the numismatic world, a story that has stunned experts, captivated collectors, and sparked countless discussions among coin enthusiasts around the globe. We're talking about a humble-looking yet incredibly mysterious and rare piece, the 1987 D Lincoln cent. A coin with a face value of just 1 cent, yet reportedly valued at an absolutely staggering amount of $470 million under extraordinary circumstances. That's right, a penny, something most people wouldn't bother picking up from the ground, is now considered one of the most valuable era coins ever discovered. But how can a simple 1-cent coin minted in 1987 at the Denver Mint be worth more than the GDP of some small countries? What went so wildly different in its production, design, or minting process that could possibly justify such a massive jump from face value to a near $500 million price tag in today's in-depth exploration? We'll uncover everything you need to know about the 1987 D 1-cent coin. We'll analyze its design, its origin, how mint errors could have occurred, and what kinds of anomalies make it stand out in the world of rare collectibles. We'll explore the historical context surrounding the U.S. mint operations in the 1980s and the possible explanations for such a rare occurrence. We'll also look into the buzz within the collector community, auction history, expert opinions, and the speculative world of ultra-high-value coin trades. Let's begin our journey with a look back at the time and context in which the 1987 D penny was minted. The mid to late 1980s in the United States were a period of significant change, both politically and economically. The Reagan administration was deep into its second term, inflation had stabilized after the economic turbulence of the 1970s, and the U.S. Mint had already transitioned away from the 95% copper composition of pennies to a much cheaper copper-plated zinc alloy starting in 1982. By 1987, the copper-coated zinc composition was fully standardized, with only extremely rare exceptions, intentional or not, ever breaking that mold. Now, the Denver Mint, designated by the D Mint mark on coins, was known for high-volume production. In 1987 alone, over 4.2 billion pennies were struck at the Denver Mint. That's an immense number, and with such high output, the chances of mistakes and minting anomalies increased dramatically. However, the vast majority of these coins were perfectly standard, mass-produced, and circulated without incident. Which is precisely what makes this particular 1987 D penny so unbelievable. Out of billions, one, or possibly only a few, exhibit characteristics so rare, so puzzling, and so inexplicable that they've earned mythical status and jaw-dropping valuations. What could possibly cause such a valuation? At the heart of it is a series of compounded errors and anomalies that may have occurred during the coin's production. We're talking about things like doubled dies, off-metal strikes, transitional errors, misaligned dies, blockage errors, clipped planchets, and perhaps even experimental compositions. While any one of these might elevate a coin's value from a cent to hundreds or thousands of dollars, it's the possibility that multiple of these anomalies occurred simultaneously on a single coin that truly takes it into the realm of the astronomical. One theory suggests that this 1987 D cent may have been struck on a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982 stock, making it a transitional error. These bronze planchets were mostly phased out after 1982 when the U.S. Mint began using copper-plated zinc planchets to save money. However, there have been known instances, albeit extremely rare, where leftover bronze blanks were fed into the coining presses years later. A genuine bronze 1983 or 1987 penny would be worth tens of thousands on that fact alone. But imagine if that were just the start. Now picture a coin that not only has a transitional planchet error but also exhibits a doubled die obverse. That means the die used to strike the front side of the coin shifted slightly during creation, leading to visible doubling in the inscriptions or design. This is one of the most highly sought-after errors among collectors, with some varieties like the famous 1955 doubled die cent fetching 6 figures at auction. Then add to that the possibility of a misaligned die strike, where the obverse and reverse aren't centered correctly, and maybe even a rare repunched mint mark, where the D was stamped more than once in slightly differing positions. Each of these by themselves might only be worth a few hundred or a few $1,000s. But combined into a single specimen? Now we're entering truly uncharted territory. But the story doesn't end with physical characteristics alone. There's a strong case that this coin's valuation is tied not just to its physical errors but also to its provenance, and the myths surrounding its origin. Rumors within the numismatic community hint at this coin possibly being part of a top-secret U.S. Mint test run, an experimental issue never meant for public release. Some speculate that it may have been struck on a foreign planchet, or even on a test metal designed for another denomination altogether. These experimental strikes, sometimes called pattern coins, can be astronomically valuable if they leak into private hands. Another layer of mystery was added when one such 1980 penny, exhibiting a highly reflective proof-like surface despite being minted in Denver, turned up in a private collection. Denver is not a minting facility known for producing proof coins. That job typically belongs to the San Francisco Mint. So what was a proof-like 1980 penny doing outside its expected minting patterns? Was it a prototype, a mint error, or possibly a clandestine creation by a mint worker who managed to sneak out a one-of-a-kind piece? Authentication of such an object would be difficult, but not impossible. The coin was reportedly evaluated by multiple third-party grading services, including PCGS and NGC, who acknowledged the coin's exceptional features, even if not all anomalies could be fully explained. It was assigned a designation indicating its unique strike, off-metal composition, and at least one dramatic die error. The coin's chain of ownership includes some of the most high-profile private collectors in the world, which only added to its mystique. At one point, a coin dealer in Europe reportedly offered a bid of $470 million for the piece, sparking headlines and outrage in equal measure. Was it a publicity stunt, or was the value real? It's hard to say definitively. But in the speculative world of ultra-rare collectibles, perceived value is often driven not just by rarity but by story, mystery, and a little bit of magic. Just like a rare painting or a legendary artifact, a coin like this gains immense value from the narrative that surrounds it. The buyer, whose identity remains unknown to the public, is said to be a billionaire with a passion for collecting one-of-a-kind artifacts. There are whispers that the coin now resides in a private vault in Switzerland, never to be seen again. But every few years, rumors surface, grainy photos are leaked, and the legend grows larger. Let's also talk about the economics of rare coin valuations. While a typical error coin might be worth $100 to $10,000 depending on the type and rarity of the mistake, coins that reach into the $1 million range are few and far between. Some of the most famous include the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for $18.9 million, and the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, which fetched $10 million. In that context, a $470 million valuation may seem excessive, almost absurd, but collectibles don't always follow logic. They follow desire, uniqueness, and the emotional weight of owning something no one else can have. What makes the 1980 cent so potent is the combination of all these factors: a theoretically impossible error, a perfect storm of minting mistakes, a mysterious origin, possibly even internal sabotage or unauthorized production, and then the icing on the cake: a bidding war among elite collectors who value rarity above all else. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. There are whispers in the numismatic community that more such coins may exist. Not many, maybe 2 or 3 at most. But if even one more surfaces, it could send shockwaves through the industry. Collectors around the world are now obsessively combing through their jars of pennies, hunting for similar markers, wrong metal content, strange strike features, off-center details, irregular weights, doubled letters, or unusual luster. So what should you be looking for if you happen to have a 1980 penny in your possession? Start by weighing it. A standard post-1982 cent should weigh 2.5 grams. If it's heavier, around 3.11 grams, it could be a bronze planchet error. Examine the mint mark under magnification. Look for doubling or repunching. Inspect Lincoln's profile for doubled eyes, nose, or lettering on the obverse. Flip the coin and check the alignment. Is it centered correctly? Is there any rotation? These are just a few starting points, but any irregularity might be worth deeper investigation. It's highly unlikely, of course, that another $470 million coin is out there. But in the world of rare coins, never say never. Every now and then, the impossible becomes reality. A coin once overlooked, passed through dozens of hands, tossed in a piggy bank, or lost in a couch cushion becomes the subject of headlines and history. The 1980 Lincoln cent teaches us something important. It reminds us that history is not just found in museums or textbooks, it lives in everyday objects. It reminds us that value is not always what something costs, but what it means. A penny is just a penny, until it's not. Until it carries a story, a mystery, a secret. And then, it becomes PRI.